Now let's look ahead to week 2. If you look at the schedule, I mean, no real big matchups kind of jump off the paper to say, hey, this is the game, but there's a lot of really interesting games. First of all, I'm thinking of Columbia City and Whitco. These two teams are 1-0 for the first time. Well, I'm not going to say for the first time, but maybe for the first time in a long time, they're both 1-0, and they're both Whitley County rivals, not too far away, so maybe that could be the game of the week.
Well, with that one win in opening week, what they did was set expectations. And now Columbia City isn't a program where, hey, we're happy to get 1, 2, or 3 wins a year and just kind of, no, these guys, the last 3 games Columbia City's played, they've beaten East Noble in the sectional and they've beaten Warsaw. And then they lost to Dwenger in that 3rd game, but everybody loses to Dwenger. So Columbia City has 2 monster-sized wins in their last 3 games. And so the expectations for the Eagles are really high now. And those kids are starting to believe, the coaching staff's believing, and their fans are believing. But conversely, Whitco's the same way. They won their first game, and so they want to knock off Columbia City, the bigger school. And so that's really going to be a great game to watch, to see if the offense of Columbia City can really dominate the defense of Whitco like they did against Warsaw.
And, of course, every week in the SAC, there's always good games in the SAC.
Sure.
We've got the Battle of Zollner Stadium, Dwenger and Concordia. Looks like the Cadets might be down a little this year after their loss to Northside. Looks like the Redskins really dominated Concordia and Bishop Dwenger. They're right back on track.
Well, Adrian Williams is a great linebacker for Northside, and Ryan Hall, their first-year coach, took on another first-year coach at Concordia, and so it was going to be interesting to see who had the biggest impact right away, but obviously Ryan Hall, who was an assistant in Northside last year, has his defense raring to go. They held Concordia to 7 points, led by Adrian Williams, and they produced 35 points offensively, so they had it going on both sides of the ball. Concordia, conversely, just could not move the ball offensively, and they struggled. And so they've got a lot of film to watch this week and try to correct their mistakes. But give it to Northside and also Northrop, who had a huge road win this week. 2 struggling programs that got off on the right foot, and those kids and those coaches just have to be sky high right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Northside can keep it going. They play Harding this week. Harding got topped by WANE, so it could be another program that might be down this year. Northside might be on the rise. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So, and then, of course, we got Homestead traveling to Warsaw. I think every game Homestead plays is a rivalry game.
Sure it is, yeah.
And this is no different.
Well, they're the big dog on the porch that everybody wants to knock off. Everybody wants to knock off Homestead. When you win 9 games a year, people get tired of you. And so every single time that Dwenger plays somebody, Homestead plays somebody, often Lures plays people, they want to get those guys and knock them off. Homestead, what I look for that storyline really is, can they maintain the running game, and can Zach Terrell bounce back? Like I said earlier, he had very average numbers for Zach Terrell. Other quarterbacks probably would have been happy with his numbers, but Zach Terrell, we've come to expect him to really produce a lot more than he did. And so it'll be interesting to see if he can bounce back and have maybe a 200-yard passing performance, maybe 2 or 3 scores this week against Warsaw. Obviously, Warsaw has trouble with a spread offense because they did against Columbia City. And I got news for the Tigers. It ain't getting any easier this week.
That's very true. Maybe the most pressure this week will be on Snyder. How do you respond after that loss to Lures? They take on Southside this week. Southside, they both lost very big in the first week, so I mean, really, it's a pressure for both teams. What comes out of that game?
Well, Southside lost to Dwenger, which, as I said earlier, everybody loses to Dwenger, so I wouldn't read too much into that. They have a lot of athletes. Coach Chevron's an experienced coach. They'll get the ship righted, so to speak. Snyder will as well. All week long, they're going to be watching film, and there's going to be a whole lot of coaching done by Kurt Tippmann this week, I can tell you that. Even though they struggled mightily against Lures, when I was watching that game, what I saw was potential in Snyder. Yes, they struggled against Lures, but Lures is going to make a lot of teams look really bad this year. And so Snyder, they are not a bad program. They are going to bounce back. Now, whether they get Southside or not, that remains to be seen. Southside knocked them off at Snyder last year, so or at Northrop where Snyder plays their game, anyways. But it won't be a gimme this week, but don't think that Snyder's down and they're going to be a 500 club this year. They're going to be right there at 8 or 9 wins this year.
Well, we've got 1 week in the books. What will week 2 bring? I guess you'll have to tune in to the Friday Night Highlight Zone at about 11:15, and you can read about it Saturday in the News-Sentinel.